Hola Sacred Creatrixes. So, a big part of this coven is all of us, me included, being really open and raw and vulnerable and real in our shares, in what we're creating, what we're building, and being really transparent about all the things. And so, as I was thinking about how I wanted to share what Sacred Creatrix means to me, I was going to do it via audio because a lot of it I wrote down and I was like, I want to read some of it. And who wants to watch me like reading a note, from my, notebook? And then I was like, a lot of people, hello, Drag Queen Story Hour. People love to be read to. And part of what I want to do as I'm building my, toolkit and resource of being a mentor and a leader is I want to show up in the ways that always that I'm asking you to. And I do that. Like I'm very big on modeling that which I ask others to do or having already done it. Like I will never share with you or advise you to do something that I haven't already done myself. It is just part of my makeup. I'm a Capricorn. Like it just doesn't, if I haven't fully experienced it or experienced it enough to feel rooted enough, grounded enough to share it, I'm just not gonna. And so part of this that I wanted to do and why I wanted to go ahead and, read this on video is because I want to model the fact that one, I really want you to journal about what a sacred creatrix is to you. So if you haven't done that, if you just went ahead and hit play on this, like you went from that last video into this one, no boo boo, no boo boo. I see you. I know what you're doing because I would have done that. No, no, no. And then, you're going to copy off my answer. No, 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 no. Pause this video. Go back to the other video, grab your journal, and write what a sacred creatrix means to you before you hit play on what it means to me. Because just because I'm sharing with you, just because I am the vessel that this, archetype and this container and this coven came through, doesn't mean that I have all the answers. It doesn't mean that I know to a T what a sacred creatrix is. I'm still fucking learning as I go along. It changes all the time. And it is going to change and evolve because what we create, our creations, are living entities. They are their own things, right? And so I really want you to start honoring the fact that shit's gonna evolve. And you can choose to either be like, no, it's got to have like this one definition and that's it. That's the only thing that it's going to be. Or you can be like, you know what? It is safe for me to let things evolve. It is safe for me to change my mind. I reserve the right to change my mind because that is a fucking birthright of mine, right? So I don't know how I got off on that tangent. But what I really, really want us to do is to come into this relationship with our own understanding of what it means to be a sacred creatrix, and then we can build and create the energy field together. That's really what we're doing. And so that's why it's so important for you to do the work and feel into what a sacred creatrix is for you first before you listen to me blab on about it. Okay? And that's the real tea. And I'm going to take a sip of my actual cup of tea. All right. So I journaled about this. And let me just kind of give you a backstory. So whenever I create anything, part of my process is I like to sit with whatever it is I'm creating and like have a conversation with it, right? Like I like to ask it, like, what does it want to be? Who are you? Why have you come into my orbit? What can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? What is the highest expression of what we can co-create together? Like, I love having a conversation with the things that I'm bringing up into the world, right? That have said, hey, Brandi, me, pick me, create me. So, which happens a lot. Like, I get a lot of those taps on the shoulders, but that's where this journaling praxis, that's where this really opening up a notebook and having a conversation on the page really comes in handy for me, because it's the way that I process. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about how you process as well, right? Do you process better talking? Do you process better writing things down? Do you process better going for a walk and letting it marinate? Do you process better moving through your body? Like, what is your sacred process to, like, begin to have these conversations with the things that you want to bring out to the world, and do that? Okay. So that I was sitting down and I was really tapping into, what does Sacred Creatrix, what are they? Like, who are they? What do they want to be? And so it's literally, I'm not going to read like all like 85 pages, but I'm going to read a little bit. So, and this is straight from my journal, so forgive me if it sounds like choppy. Like, I want to show up as real and as authentically in the moment as I can, because that is going, hopefully, to inspire you to do the same. Okay, so at the top of the page, I just wrote Sacred Creatrix, ... More than just a creator or creative, someone who wants to use and take their creativity to open new doors, create new worlds. Someone who wants to change the world by creating it in its fullness in which they see it. They are witchy creatives, spiritual creatives, folks who are magical and want to use their magic in service to their creativity and their art, and infuse it with power of intent to change the world. I am a sacred creatrix because I create from the intersections and margins of my being and experiences. I am a sacred creatrix because I create. I dream of creativity. Like, I literally do. Like, I'm constantly dreaming about creativity. I want, knowing, need to create. You have gifts that you are just barely breaching to the surface to understand. A voice that you're not sure how or why or how to use. A life way, a path that you are dreaming your way to living fully and in the process of creating. A spiritual path, a witch way, a sacred road on which you are chiseling in hopes of someday maybe helping others lead the way. And so then I go into a little bit more of that, but then so this was just all free writing and download and automatic writing, which, you know, we'll have a conversation and a mentorship around that. But it's for now, all you need to know is you just write whatever it is, the question on the top, hit a timer, and then just start writing. Okay. So a little bit further down, I started just kind of bullet pointing what a sacred creatrix is. So I'm just going to read a few of these. So, someone who wants to use magic to create their art and use their art to deepen their relationship to their magic. So it really is like a reciprocity. Sacred Creatrix is a cycle. It is a constant state of evolving, de-evolving, relearning, unlearning. So it's cyclical. It's a pattern. It's an ongoing, never-ending loop, but the good kind, not the bad kind. Know they are the creatrix of their own worlds. That's really important. Like, we're all creators of our own world. We are all divine creators. And so that is super important. Not afraid and understands how to harness their power and sacred self-expression. Someone who has undergone, sometimes I can't even read my own handwriting, has undergone radical personal alchemy. That's going to be a whole coaching session in and of itself. I'll explain to you what that is. It's a concept that I use and I've taken myself through to get where they know their art and magic need to go. Solution creators who ask questions, seek answers, and create innovative new possibilities that extend beyond the present problems. This is a really big one. And maybe I'll just stop there. Part of my medicine and of what I really want to hold in this container is I have always been solution-based oriented. It's where my mind goes. I know the problem. We all know the problems that are going on. We know patriarchy. We know what's going on with all the bills and women, and femme womb embodied people who losing their rights. Like, we know all of these things, right? We know the problems. They're shoved in our faces. What and where can we find the answers? And I have always been in this solution-based mindset. And a sacred creatrix is somebody who doesn't bypass the problems. They know what the fucking problem is. They know it so deeply in their soul. And yet they don't just stay in it, right? They don't just unpack there and bury and then keep their activism in this problem-inducing container, right? They know it. They've probably lived it. I know I lived everything that I am super vocal and an artivist in. I've lived those fucking experiences, so I don't need to marinate in them any longer than I already have. But we take that and we find a way to move forward. What is the solution? And you know what? I'm going to be completely honest. I may never come up with the solution. I may never know the answer. A sacred creatrix may never even in their lifetime see the results of their activism, of their art, of their labors, right? But just think about all the things and possibilities and ripples that we create by trying, right? We never know what our trying, our creations are going to produce or seed in other people, ourselves included, right? And by us as sacred creatrix saying, I want to come into this problem or this issue or this marginalization or this systemic oppression, and I know it because I lived it, and I also want to be a solution maker in this orbit. That is how we are going to create change. That is how we take ourselves from out of what has been done before and move into the what is next. What is the next innovative way to tap into that problem? We see that, or tap into, to create a solution. We see it all the fucking time. It happens all the time. Like, vaccines are produced because, people try. We're flying in fucking airplanes because somebody said, I'm going to try. Like, I am just going to do the best I can to create the solution I know that it is needed. So, as sacred creatrixes, I envision it as like a coven of folks who are pointing towards solution. Now, that doesn't mean that we live in the solutions, because there's so much marginalization and shit that happens in our real physical bodies that it's important for us not to woo-woo or bypass or 5D ourselves out of it. But when we swing back into it, when we're face to face with that shit, we have cultivated enough awareness in ourselves to go, okay, I am in this. This fucker is calling me every derogatory name in the book, and I'm going to use my sacred rage, and I'm not going to put up with it. Yes, absolutely. But also, when I'm out of that situation, my sacred witness is going to be there and be like, what could have been another solution? I'm going to react because that's just who I am. Like, nobody's going to, I will take no shit. But I'm also going to question, well, how else could I have responded? How else can I respond? How else can I use this as a learning experience for myself that I can then transfer into my arts or transfer it into my orbit or into my coaching or into my leadership. So that way I can create a different answer. And hell, maybe even try it the next time that it comes on. I don't know. I'm just kind of, riffing off the cuff. But that's really where I'm hoping and holding for us in the Sacred Creatrix container is that we really become those solution-based beings. Okay, let's just see what else I wrote here, because I haven't reread this. Like, I literally was just like, fuck it, I'm going to read it. Okay. So Sacred Creatrix use their magic as a form of activism, artivism, spiritual artivism. I think that what I just shared kind of mirrors and marries this right here. They are a Sacred Creatrix is an activist, is an artivist, is a rebel rouser. They are a witch, a magic maker, a mystic in some way, right? Like we are in some way, shape, or form tapped into our magical, mystical self. Sacred Creatrix is available to us all. Sacred Creatrix is an archetype. A Sacred Creatrix is someone who isn't afraid to go there, to be challenged, to get into uncomfortable situations, check their privilege, and continuously learn and remain open to doing better. Now, there's a lot more that I wrote down, but that just feels like a really beautiful place to end. And just wanting to share one last thing about this whole Sacred Creatrix vibe. What has come up for me over the last couple of days that isn't in this journal, and this is what I mean by your art, like allow your art and the things that want to be created through you to evolve. One of the big things that has been coming up for me in the last week really is that a Sacred Creatrix is someone who leads through their creativity, who leads through their magic, who leads through love. And we're going to be talking about all of that as we progress in this coven. And as, we go into these mentorships, as I go into like these little, sub things that are in the monthly mentorship thing, goodie bag. And I think, and I feel that for now, that's really one of the root, along with solution-based, along with being an archetype, along with using your art to create a better world, is also using creativity, arts, your magic, and your heart to lead. So that is my definition of, or not even a definition. It's not even like a singular definition. That is the orbit in which Sacred Creatrix spins. It's on its own axis, right? That's what's orbiting around it. And what I would love is for you to, in our Mighty Networks group, to share what you wrote in your Sacred Creatrix, like when in your journal, you can share and I want you to get creative, right? Like get creative with it. I want you to use every single opportunity that you have in this container. Use it as a point to fucking create, to make art, right? Don't just go in same old, like, oh, this is another group that I have to go in and I have to type in my answers. No. That's not what a Sacred Creatrix does. A Sacred Creatrix goes in and goes, how can I make this art? How can I make this the fullest expression of what it wants to be? That's what a Sacred Creatrix does. And so I want to invite you to use this moment of sharing to, get creative. You can take a snap of your journal. You can hit, Vocaroo, go to Vocaroo, you can record it, you can make a video, you can turn it into a poem. But what I would really love is just to have like a collection of all of these, what a Sacred Creatrix is, and then see where the creativity takes all of us. Maybe it'll be a zine, maybe it'll be a book, one of the first books we published under Woke Magic Press. Who knows? Like, let's just gather everything and let's co-create this field of Sacred Creatrix together. I am so fucking excited about this. I hope that you're excited about it too. And if not, I've got excitement to lend you. I love y'all, and I will see you next month, and I will see you in our little container, Mighty Networks container of magic. I love y'all. Happy Sacred Creatrixing. I cannot wait to read what comes up for you. I love you. Until next time, in Lakesh.